Welcome to Her Life Unscripted podcast, inspiring burnt out, stressed out, and stretched thin women to embrace the unscriptedness of life. Hosted by Anna Osborne.
Hello, lovelies, and welcome to Her Life Unscripted episode 34. I am so just absolutely overjoyed to be here with you today. It is a cold, dreary day out here in Northern California, and I am just really warm and excited inside because I'm just so inspired by all of you. Last week's episode 33, A Time to Give with Beth Hassett, was just absolutely amazing because your guys' response was so generous and so warm, and I'm just inspired by all of you. So for those of you that have not had a chance to listen, I will fill you in real quick about episode 33, and then you can go back and listen later. But essentially the month of December, what I am doing is I am highlighting a local nonprofit that I am, has close to my heart and that I've worked with for many years. I'm highlighting them as a way for us all to integrate being of service into our lives and being able to really find a way to give back during this holiday season. I had an amazing interview with Beth Hassett, who is the executive director of Weave, which is a local nonprofit that works with victims and survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And she came on and talked about just the amazing work that her agency does and all the people that just are on the front lines in really intense but yet rewarding work. And we were able to include the links to their website if you are so inspired to give. And also they do this amazing toy shop, which I talked more about in episode 33, but essentially people that are clients of Weave throughout the calendar year are able to come in with vouchers. So they're able to shop for free in this just beautifully decorated toy shop that is all based on donations of toys and gift cards and items that kids would just absolutely love. And they come in, and I believe they get about 3 vouchers per child, and they get to come in, and they're all brand new toys that they're essentially shopping with their free voucher for their children to be able to provide gifts and things like that during the holidays, especially when their family has been impacted by a traumatic event, domestic violence, sexual assault, or human trafficking throughout the year. So we included that link in the show notes for episode 33, and I'll be including that link for the entire month of December because what they did is created a wish list on Amazon. So if you are so inclined to give during the holiday season, you can actually click on that link and you will be taken over to their page on Amazon, and you'll be able to just buy things for the holiday toy shop, and they'll be sent directly to Weave's doors and then decorated and put into their holiday toy shop, which runs, I believe, the week before Christmas. So that is essentially what we talked about last week. And like I said, this entire month, we are going to be talking about the spirit of giving and being able to be of service. So I'm just really excited about that. That's where we're at today. Actually, I'm home with my kids today, and they are playing a fierce game of Jake and the Neverland Pirates with every single pillow that you can find in my house. So we will see what the background noise sounds like as I record this, but I am just going to see what it's like recording a podcast with them home playing in the background. It'll be an adventure. So here we are today, and I'm just really excited to be spending this time with all of you. So like I said, we are talking about this idea of being of service. And I know that there are times in my life when I have been able to give because I have, more resources, more energy, more just abundance in my life. And there's also been times in my life when I've been very depleted and I've had to lean on others and their generosity. And so today, as we're talking about this idea of being of service, I really want to just kind of step back for a moment and really describe what I mean by that. Because so often when we talk about giving, we automatically think about money, right? Somebody wants your money, somebody wants you to donate your money, and that's not the reality for all of us, right? And that may not be the best way to give, to be of service. So that's really what I want to spend a little bit of time talking about. I believe that I'm going to believe this universal truth about all of you listening, that we all want to achieve greatness in our lives, right? Of however we define that. And I think that oftentimes as a society, we define greatness as status, right? The letters after our name, the promotions we receive, the amount of money in our bank account. When really achieving greatness in our life is about being of service to others, right? Of giving of our unique gifts because we are abundantly blessed or we're abundantly fortunate. And so being of service, achieving greatness is really through giving rather than our status or kind of receiving. And so I'm thinking about this idea. And like I said, I believe this to be a universal truth for all of you listening, right? Because you wouldn't be listening to something about navigating the unscriptedness of our lives in the most beautifully messy, gnarly, yet loving way possible if you didn't have a belief in giving and of being of greatness, right? And I think it's so important for us to really slow down and look at this idea of greatness, because sometimes, like I said, it can be based on, we think greatness is achieved by the status that we live our lives in, or that greatness is something that can be really, really overwhelming, right? That in order for me to be great, I've got to be a perfect mom, a perfect wife, a perfect therapist, a perfect sister, so on and so forth, right? Where that just becomes super overwhelming. And so I think if we slow down for a second and think about greatness as something that we do rather than something that we are, it becomes something that is actually a way that we can live with really strong intention in our life. I had a really great interview last week with Sarah Angelides, and she's actually, I'll share the interview in 2017. But what was so interesting, she was talking about in this podcast episode about having a purposeful career. And I was thinking about that, about what an amazing gift and privilege that I feel like I have of having a career that I find so much purpose and that I have so much passion around. Being able to meet people exactly where they're at and walk with them on their healing journey is one of the most just humbling and honored careers that I can imagine myself having. And yet, we don't all have careers that we're passionate about, right? That's a privilege that I have to have a career that I love. And there's some of us who don't love our careers. I mean, I've had jobs that I've hated that felt like they were sucking the soul out of me because it was not aligned with who I was in the world. And yet the agency or the company stood for all these things that I didn't stand for. And so I've been in that place of having a job that I was not passionate about. And so as I was thinking about the interview with Sarah, I thought about, what if it's really looking through the lens of not that we have to have this purposeful career, right? Because that can be a standard or an expectation that a lot of us can't meet. But what if it's more about having this purposeful life? And that just got my creative juices flowing, thinking about this amazing ability to have a purposeful life, right? That we live with intention to be able to achieve greatness in our lives and in the relationships around us by giving. And that to me just thought like, wow, we can all achieve greatness that way of just having intention and purposeful, purposeful action in our lives, right? I have a wonderful friend who will be on the podcast eventually, and she has her therapy business is called Soul Legacy. And what I love about the concept of her therapy, her psychotherapy practice, is this idea of what is the legacy that you're going to leave behind. Right? And that when you have a purposeful life, it's saying, what is the ripple effect that I leave in the relationships and the interactions around me? What is the legacy that I'm going to leave for my children, for my friends, right? For my coworkers? What's it going to look like? And so that really is how I feel like we tie in this idea of being of service, especially in this month of December, finding this time to give, is recognizing that it's not only do we give because, we have more, so we give more, but it's also recognizing that this is all tied into the legacy we want to leave for our life, right? I know that this unscripted journey that we're all navigating, that it has U-turns and danger zones and dead ends and all those sorts of things. And it is really difficult to navigate it. And yet there are unique gifts that we hold and interactions that we have on a daily basis that absolutely can transform those around us. And so thinking of this idea, right, is what do we, if we want to have this life of service or this purposeful life, right, what does that really look like? And so that's what I want to spend a little bit of time breaking down. Okay. So if you've bought into this idea that I want to achieve greatness in my life, and I want to achieve that by being of service to others, of giving, of being a purposeful, having a purposeful life and a purposeful legacy rather than, my status, right? If you've bought into that, which I have, I feel like it's an important thing to buy in for just who I am as a person. So if you've bought into that, so then how do we do it? Right? Like those are the conversations I like to have, because so often we have these great kind of philosophical conversations and I love them. And then we turn to each other and go, okay, well, that's great, but how do we do it? Right? What's the execution? So let's talk about that. If we want to know, what does it look like to have a purposeful life? What does it look like to be of service? And so the starting block for me, and the starting block that I really want to challenge you guys with today, is being able to identify what are your unique gifts. We all have them. I promise you, we all have unique gifts in this world. I think about my mom. My mom has the unique gift of creativity, and she has the ability to write the most comforting, just encouraging, supportive words. And there are times in my life where I've received a card from my mom, and it's something that I've held on to forever, because the words, the way she can formulate her words is just absolutely, it's amazing, right? And I know friends that have gone through hard times that my mom has been close with, that are friends in my life, and she's written them a note or a card, and most of them reach out and go, oh my gosh, I got the most amazing card from your mom, and it's something I'm going to save because the words were so real. It was like she was staying there with me, right? And so my mom has this unique gift of words, and she's able to write words in a way that is so warm, even though it's just coming across in pen. And so I know that all of you have these unique gifts. And so what I really want to do in order to be able to kind of identify what does it look like to live this purposeful life, to be of service to others, to achieve greatness, is you got to figure out what your unique gifts are. Like that's our starting block, right? And so what I encourage you guys to do is to, after you get done listening to this episode, is go ahead and pull out a piece of paper, number it through 1 through 10, and write down 10 of your unique gifts. Right? And I know that can feel really, really overwhelming for some of us, right? If we are at a time in our life where things feel very dark and very heavy, we can think, there's no way that I've got 10 unique gifts. Like that's crazy. Other people have 10 unique gifts, but I do not. And I want to really disagree with you there, right? Because I know that you have 10 unique gifts, whether it's the gift of humor, it's the gift of presence, right? Of being present when somebody else is going through something. It's the gift of a car, and you can help somebody run errands, right? Like it's the gift of time that you can give of your time if you don't have extra resources to give, financially or other ways like that. And some of you have the gift of baking, right? Like, and I just think those are I have a great girlfriend. She's got the gift of being able to go shopping and find things on sale that she knows other people would love and use. And so she's just constantly being able to give of things, but they're things that she found in a very, discounted way, but she knows they would mean a lot to another person. So there's all these gifts that we have. And I really believe that a lot of our gifts are underutilized. Right? We feel like, am I allowed to celebrate my gifts? If I do that, am I kind of making myself too big for my britches? Like, what does that look like? And so I really want to encourage you guys to spend a little bit of time identifying what those unique gifts are. And then we get to move on to step 2. And step 2 is this amazing, amazing just ability to be able to identify who in our lives can benefit from these gifts. Right? And sometimes it's a stranger. Right? Sometimes we have the gift of warmth. And so when we see a stranger, we look them in the eye and we say hello and we ask them how they're doing. Right? Or we wish them a good morning or a good evening. Like that is a gift to a stranger that we don't know what impact it'll make. And because we don't know the impact, it should inspire us, or it can inspire us even more to be able to really send out that amazing ripple effect to those around us, including those that we don't know. So the second step in this being able to really identify what does it look like to live a purposeful life is to take that list, those 10 unique gifts, and start identifying who you can share them with, whether it's strangers, neighbors, family, friends, like who are those people, right? And really what I want you guys to do, that third step is after you identify who can benefit from these unique gifts, is then make a plan. Like whose life are you going to touch in a positive way this week? Right? If you are going to really just be inspired to live a purposeful life, to be of service, to achieve greatness, not through status, but by giving to others, then make a plan, right? Figure out who this week is going to be touched by your generosity. And remember, generosity doesn't just have to do with money. Generosity has to do with giving more because we have more. And like I started off this episode talking about, there are times in my life that I have not had very much to give. I've been emotionally depleted. I've been depleted in my relationships, in my career. My bank account wasn't looking so good. Like, those were the realities of points of my life when my unscripted journey was extra intense. And now I'm finding myself in a time in my life where I am able to give more because I have more, right? I'm taking better care of myself. I'm exercising more. I'm eating food that nourishes my body. I'm drinking more water and less wine and coffee, right? Like, those are the things. And so therefore, because I have more energy, I want to give in ways because right now I feel abundance in my life. And honestly, you guys, and I'll try not to get emotional about this, but you know me, I often do, is I feel like I've got this abundance in my life right now because of this relationship I'm building with all of you, right? That through your words of encouragement and even just you guys downloading the episodes and listening to them, it inspires me to keep doing this. And I feel like I have more energy to give because you guys listening and commenting and sharing and all those sorts of things inspires me to keep connecting. And so therefore, I don't feel depleted when I'm giving. I feel energized because you guys are reciprocating that through your words of encouragement and your downloads and your reviews and your ratings and all those sorts of things. Like, that just fills me up. So that really is kind of the ways that I feel like I'm in a time and space of my life where I have more to give. And so I want to give it because I know it comes back tenfold, and that giving is such this joyous experience, especially when we feel like we have abundance around us. So that's really what I want to talk with you guys about today. Next week, we've got a really, really interesting topic, and I'm super excited about it because I actually got into a very heated debate with somebody about it yesterday. So I'm excited to kind of share that with you guys next week. And it's this idea of how do we give, right, without depleting ourselves, and really being able to get down to kind of the nuts and bolts of how we do that, especially during the holiday season. There are so many expectations around us. And, when we are giving and feel like we are depleting ourselves, is taking care of ourselves something that is selfish or selfless? So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. And I'm excited. And really what I want to do is, even if you guys are listening to this in March of next year, or who knows, December of next year, I really do want to encourage you guys to go over to the show notes and check out the Amazon wish list for Weave and also their website. If you are so inclined, if there is abundance in your life right now and you want to give, I really encourage you to go to their website or go to the Amazon wish list and be able to give and share that with, just that gift with other people that you have, because you are fortunate to be having so much right now to give to those right now that are struggling, especially coming out of a domestic violence, sexual assault, or human trafficking experience. There is so much trauma that just the idea of providing gifts for their kiddos is something that is overwhelming. And if we can lighten that load, I want us to be inspired to do so. And if you feel like, you know what, I really do want to give, but I want to give something that's more in my community because I don't live in the Sacramento area, awesome. Go online, Google a local food bank or a local women's shelter or anything, local youth sports, anything that you are so inspired to give. And even if it's just $5, like $5 is a lot, right? But maybe it's just your Starbucks coffee budget for the week. Right. And so even that little bit can make a significant difference in people's lives. So I really encourage you to go over to the show notes and being able to, go use those links. And like I said, if you are wanting to give your local community, do that too. That's absolutely a fantastic way to give back also. So that's really all that I have for the episode today. Like I said, go over the show notes and check that stuff out. I also encourage you guys to head over to Her Life Unscripted and herlifeunscripted.com and click on the retreats tab. We've got some amazing live events coming up in 2017, and I really want to be able to share those details in live time with you guys. So if you fill out the little box of information, you can, you just get on an interest list so that when those dates and kind of information about the events roll out, you'll be able to see them right as they go up and not have a delay on that at all. And always, please send in your voice feedback. Honestly, if you have feedback about this idea of taking care of ourselves and you want to weigh in on this debate about whether or not that's something that's selfish or selfless, or if you have learned of ways to give with abundance and not deplete yourself, like, I want to hear your voices. So this is a call to action, all of you listening. Click on the SpeakPipe app. Once you go over to the show notes, you'll see that there. You just click on it and you can send in audio feedback. And I want to hear your guys' opinions because I want to weigh them in as I share about the great debate I got into with somebody yesterday. So as always, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to connect with all of you today. Thank you for letting me into your worlds and into your hearts. And I am just so proud of all of us. And I'm so inspired by the action that you guys took last week in your generosity. And I know that you will find ways to be generous with your spirit and your hearts and your intentions this week too. And so please share how that worked for you. Send it over to Anna@herlifeunscripted.com. I can't wait to hear how you took this call to action as a way to really just take steps of being more purposeful in your own life and creating this legacy of greatness and this legacy of service. So I will talk to you all next week. Take care.
Want to learn about the latest retreats, workshops, and speaking events hosted by Anna? Head over to herlifeunscripted.com to get in on all the juicy details. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so we can continue to grow our amazing audience. Lastly, be sure and send in your voice feedback via the SpeakPipe app or to Anna@herlifeunscripted.com. We can't wait to hear from you.